One thing I've learned in the car business, they want to have as many people on the floor as they possibly can because they want to sell more cars or whatever they're selling at that point. I know motorcycle dealerships that are like that. My thing is I want my people all to be here because they're getting the proper training, they're getting the knowledge to advance their career at some point if that's what they want to do. And I tell all of them, I'll train you to be a sales manager, to be able to go somewhere. I have connections across the country if that's what you want to do. You know, one thing that I've learned, being a sales manager is not all that it's cracked up to be. I've got friends that are career salespeople that can literally walk in and take my job at any point in time because they are that good and that knowledge. They don't want it because of the headache and the stress that comes with it.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today, guys, we have a real treat from you from the powersports industry. That's how I describe it. So our guest today, he started out washing cars as a detail guy in 2003, and now he is running one of the most well-known Harley-Davidson dealerships in the South, Trey Cinquemano.
Yep.
Is that it right? Trey Cinquemano. He has a story that is one of true hustle and undeniable growth. With over 2 decades of experience, Trey worked his way up through nearly every position in the automotive industry, from porter to salesman to internet manager to GSM. And eventually he switched industries and got into the motorcycle business, where he's now the general manager of Hurricane Harley-Davidson right down there in Biloxi, Mississippi. Along the way, he's launched his own business, got back into the business. He was mentored into leadership roles across California and Florida and helped rebuild multiple dealerships from the ground up. Now, as a father, husband, and a seasoned professional, Trey is here to share with you guys how his discipline, mentorship, and taking risk has transformed not just his career, but his entire life. Trey, welcome to the show. Hopefully that was a good introduction for you.
Man, appreciate it, Travis. Pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for having an open mind. Guys, a lot of these people that we have on the show, you know, we don't know them. They're people that we don't know each other, but Trey is one of these people who has an open mind, and, you know, people who are listening, you guys have an open mind too. You know, it's everybody here is trying to learn and share their story and grow a little bit. So, Trey, I know you're new to the podcast, and so what I'd like to do is I'd like to start off with a quote, and we'll kind of dive into that.
Okay.
And so I'm going to share it with you guys. So, and I think this kind of resonates with you. That's why I chose this quote, but here it is. Everyone assumes that the ladder to success is already built, but the ones who've actually climbed it, they know the truth. You have to build it yourself, one rung at a time. You agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. There's nothing that is that's predestined and predetermined for anybody, especially in this business, for sure.
Yeah. No, and you've been in it for a very long time. So 2003, so 22 years in retail, basically.
It's crazy to think about, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it flies by, man. It absolutely flies by.
So how old were you when you got started?
22. No, I was 21. It was March of 03 is when I got into the business.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts, man. 22 years old, 21.
Okay.
Crazy to think about, man. It's crazy to think about because this wasn't ever on my radar.
So for guys who are in their 20s right now who are listening, you know, or girls, I guess, too, you know, can't leave them out. But if they're thinking about, you know, a career path, would you say getting into the automotive industry was a good one to choose?
It was, you know, if you get, you know, back when I got into it, it was a different ball game. You know, it was you know, and even today, I mean, there's some guys that I talk to that are still in the business, but yeah, it's you make your own paycheck, man. You generate your own income if you put in the work. If it's something that you're not going to put in the work to do, don't get in this business because it'll eat you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
It's it's the easiest way to put it, man. I've seen thousands of people come and go. It is definitely not for somebody that is looking for something that just to pass time, because you have to put in the work and you have to really dedicate yourself to this business to be successful. And if it's not something that you're willing to do, then man, do something else. Don't waste your time and energy in it because, you know, not only for yourself, but for the other people that are there. You know, if you're there and you're just killing time and you're not really putting in the work, or putting in the training that has been taught to you, you're wasting their time as well as wasting potential customers for other people.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it to where, when I came into the automotive side of things, there was 12 of us that went into my training class, and within 6 months there was 6. Within 5 years there was 2, and I'm the only one left.
Only one stubborn enough to stay around and stick with
Yeah,
it.
man. Yeah, it's I tell everybody that first month selling really really messed me up, man. I made $7,500 that
Oh,
first
you
month,
got lucky.
and I was like, I can do this, and I can do it legally and not have to worry about it. I'm like, this is great. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm in, I'm done, and I've been in ever since, man. I've tried to get out, and it pulls me right back. It's a passion for me to be able to meet people, talk to people. I love engaging in, meeting. You see all kind of different walks of life. Car business is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are their necessities. They have to be there. To whereas the Harley world this is a want. It's a lifestyle. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So I've met people from every single walk of life, from people that work at McDonald's to veterans to people in the military to multi-millionaires, and it's everybody wants the same thing, man. They want to get out there and enjoy the ride.
So let me ask you this question. So since you've been in the car industry where you're selling a necessity, right? Like everybody needs a car, but not
Yeah.
everybody needs a Harley-Davidson, but they want
Right.
one. So are people more willing to spend money on something that they need or something that they want?
Something that they want all day long, all day long, man.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, they're willing to open their wallets a little bit more, um, for the lifestyle, for the adventure, for
Yeah.
getting out on the open road, man, is the biggest thing.
So what's the difference in, I guess, dealership lifestyle? We know what a car dealership's like. You wake up, you get there at 9. You might be leaving at 9, maybe 11 p.m. It's like 9 to 9 a lot of the
Yeah.
times. 6 days a week, 7 days a week in some states, depending upon if they're open every day. But
Right.
how does that compare to a Harley Davidson dealership? What's life like there for a salesperson?
So one of the things that when I took over the store, they were getting ready to go to they were trying out a new schedule, I should say. They weren't getting ready to go to it. They were trying it out to where they were closed on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Okay.
And me being from Louisiana, I've never worked Sundays, in the state of Louisiana. Um, so when they offered me the general manager's position, I'm like, look, I said, I've done this for 20 years at that point. I'm like, we're closing on Sundays and Mondays. I said, I'm not opening Monday. I'm not closing Mondays and Tuesdays. So that's pointless. And they're like, well, what's your reasoning behind that? I said, mainly I want a culture and a life work balance. So Sundays is the only day for us in this business that we have to spend with our families, that we have to spend with our friends. And Mondays is going to be a business day that they got to get their stuff that they can't get done during the week. They have a day during the week to get it done. So if they got doctor's appointments, family, school stuff that they got to do, whatever the case may be, I want people to have their life outside of work. I mean, I've done the work balance. There is no life in the car industry. It's work, and that's it. I worked, like you said, 9 to 9. That was my schedule,
Yeah.
9 to 9. I was off on Sundays, and if I was lucky, I took another day off during the week.
Yep.
But for the most part, you work for some guys back, and that's why I say the life is different for the most part from what it was back then, because a lot of the people that are now coming up in the sales industry would never have made it back then. It just, they wouldn't have. It was cutthroat. It was getting MF'd by your sales managers and, whatever.
Yeah.
It was pretty brutal, man. It was pretty brutal, and that's part of the reason why, the main reason why I got out of the car industry is because of the backstabbing culture that was in there, and I was able to avoid it for the most part. But when I got backstabbed by somebody that I considered a very good friend of mine, I was like, I'm done. I'm out, and handed my keys to my assistant manager, and said, I hate to do it to you, man, but I'm done. Here you go.
Adios.
I said, I'm out. Because he was the one that actually kind of helped me out and filled me in on what was going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I said, I can't, I called my friend that was over there, and he's like, no, I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. And I'm like, dude, no, you're not talking to me about it tomorrow. Like, we need to talk about it now. He's like, I got to go to a Saints game. And I'm like, dude, I'm literally on my way to you. I said, we're going to talk about this. And he left before I got there, knowing I was coming.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I said, I'm good. I'm out.
Yeah. Priorities. Creating that culture of where people want to work-life balance, maybe having a culture where people feel appreciated. Doesn't sound like you felt very appreciated there.
No, not at all, man. And that's something that, I try to give everybody that I can the opportunity to grow and teach them what I know. I'll teach you anything you want to know. Just use it. And I tell everybody, and it's like, something that I was told with being inside of Harley over the last few years, that if you have another opportunity, just tell me about it. Let me know. And we'll sit down and discuss it. And if I think that it's a better move for you, I'm going to tell you to take the position. Mm-hmm. Like it's, and we'll sit down and weigh out the pros and cons of it. And, I want everybody to advance. And, it's, one thing that I've learned is it's not by the amount of people that you lead, it's by the amount of people you turn into leaders. And that's what I want. You know what I'm saying? And I've had people come in and, been a salesperson and had the opportunity to be a sales manager. And I'm like, look at it from all points. Is it going to be worth it? Is it going to advance your career? And if it is, great, move forward with it. But if you don't think it's going to, or you think it's not going to be feasible for your family, then don't make the jump. Because if it's something that you're going to regret, it's not something that's worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like you definitely have the right mindset on your shoulders as a leader in the dealership. I've heard a lot of horror stories. You've already talked about, a glimpse of one, where just bad leadership.
Yeah.
So that leads me to another question. So if you find a dealership with good culture, you have a good manager in place. Well, let me ask you this question. If you are looking for a job and you're interviewing, right, how do you find a good manager? How do you know? Do you have any questions or tips for people who are looking for a job in the automotive or power sports industry? How do you know if you got a good culture you're entering into?
I don't talk to the managers.
Okay. I
talk to the team.
Okay.
So I'll do my interview and then I'll ask questions to the people that are there. That tells you a lot. I want to know, me personally, who the top salesperson is, how long they've been there, what's their turnover rate, because that'll tell you a lot. If you have people that are turning over constantly, there's something wrong culturally in that store.
Yeah.
For the most part, you know what I'm saying? Find out why they're looking to add people. Are they low on staff? Are they adding more because they're selling more? Or are they adding more just because they want to add more people and there's nothing that's going on? You can find out a lot of stuff by asking the questions. One thing I've learned in the car business is that you're a number. Mm-hmm. They want to have as many people on the floor as they possibly can because they want to sell more cars or whatever they're selling at that point. I know motorcycle dealerships that are like that.
Yeah.
my thing is I want my people all to be here because they want to be here, because they're getting the proper training, they're getting the knowledge to advance their career at some point if that's what they want to do. And I tell all of them, I'll train you to be a sales manager, to be able to go somewhere. I have connections across the country if that's what you want to do. But, one thing that I've learned, being a sales manager is not all that it's cracked up to be. I've got friends that are career salespeople that can literally walk in and take my job at any point in time because they are that good and that knowledgeable. They don't want it.
Yeah.
They don't want it because of the headache and the stress that comes with it, and, sometimes, you look at it and you're like, man, is this really what I want? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, I like this spot because my end goal is not to be a general manager. My end goal is to be a partner or owner at some point. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. So, well, that's a good segue. So, I mean, let's talk about, because I think your story is kind of inspiring to people who are just starting out. You started out washing cars 20 years ago, and now you're a GM, and now you think in the near future you could possibly be sitting in an ownership position, So, number one, I guess, what advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out their, dealership career, that 21-year-old detail guy or that 22-year-old salesman? What advice do you have for them?
Put in the work. Put in the work. Don't skimp on anything. If you're detailing a car, put in the work. Make sure you're doing it right. Make sure you're doing everything that you need to do. Make sure you're giving 100%. When you're at work. It's easy to get drug into what we used to call in the car business as kitchen meetings. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to get involved with the people that, I hate to say it this way, but that are cancerous to the dealership.
Yeah.
Stay out of that. Stay to yourself and do your work, and things will flow for you. Now, but take in the knowledge. That's the biggest thing. I see, 3-4 month salespeople thinking they know everything under the sun at that point, and that they know everything that they need to know. And I've been in this business for 22 years. I still learn something new at least 2 or 3 times a week, stuff that I didn't think of. And I bounce ideas off of my sales guys. I'm like, what do y'all think about this? What is your opinion? What do you think about this? And they'll give me something. And there's some stuff that I'm like, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
So let's try it and see what happens. Don't get too far ahead of yourself to where you think you know everything under the sun. Play the dumb card as long as you can.
Yeah. I have that philosophy too. I'm not a big speaker in a crowd, I'm the guy who's listening, trying to learn something every single time, right. When I speak, I have something to say because I've been listening for a very long time, but I still feel a lot of the times I'm just still trying to learn and absorb what everybody else is laying out there,
Right.
I think you're right on the money there. That's what I'm trying to say with put in the work and pay attention and listen up. So one more segue about the automotive industry, and obviously you're in the power sports industry now.
Yeah.
But if you were starting out, would you go into the power sports? Would you go into auto?
It's kind of hard to say, man. If it wasn't from an automotive experience, I probably would never have made it into this industry, to be honest.
Okay.
Automotive industry is definitely an easier path to get into. I will say that because there's a car dealership every mile from it, so you can get hired on anywhere. Harley's a little bit different. Harley, you may have one that's 50 miles as your closest one to you, 30 miles, because they're spread out pretty decently, which is great, in that aspect because they're not on top of each other. But I think California is pretty much one of the few states that have them closer than 50 miles because it takes 3 hours to go 50 miles over there. So just depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
But if I had to do it all over again, man, I probably would have jumped into Harley right away. You know, I think that would have been the way to go for me in that aspect. But
can you make more money as a salesman? Can you make more money at a car dealership or a Harley dealership, or you could make the same at both places?
Really depends on the work, man. It depends. You know, I know, like I said, I know career sales guys that make well over six figures, like in the automotive side of things. And I've met a few of them in the Harley world that make well over six figures. But I mean, for the average guy, it's about what and what. There's just depending on the dealership you're at, depending on the pay structure and stuff like that. I will say this: I know a lot of the power sports industry is on flats versus a commission based.
Yeah, that's true.
So it just depends. Like it depends on the dealership. Like where I'm at here, we pay a commission base for experienced people because I want them to be able to make the money that they put into it. If you're new, I'm putting you on flats. And if you prove that you're learning and you prove that you're able to sell, then I'll switch you over to commission base so you can make the money that you deserve. Sure. But I think being on flats, especially for somebody starting out in the industry, in a solid base hourly plus like little kickers here and there, I think that's the way to go to help retain those people, because you'll have some really, really good sales guys that aren't great with product knowledge. They aren't great with building that customer base at first. And you'll lose out on those people because they're not making a decent living, a livable wage, essentially. So I want them to be able to learn and be able, while they're learning, be able to support their selves or their, family or whatever, and eventually get to where they're making six figures is what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I feel like if you're in sales and you're not making six figures, then you probably have the wrong sales job or you need more training.
Yeah.
Because that's the trade-off, right? You know, you work really hard and, get the door slammed in your face a million times, but you make good money.
Yeah. Like it's the only, like one of the few jobs that's out there you don't need a college education for to make six figures.
Yeah.
Being on the sales side of it in retail, you're up there in the six figures. We were one of the highest paid careers in the world at one point. You know what I'm saying? Besides doctors and lawyers, we were up there. And my mom had always messed with me about not going to college, and she's like, "You should have went to college." And it's when I was younger, I know I had told you that I had gotten into a little bit of trouble when I was around 16, 17 years old and was put on probation. And I was supposed to serve 2 years of probation or whatever. And about a year and a half in, I had wound up talking my way off of probation. And my probation officer at the time, I cannot remember her name to save my life, but she's like, "Mr. Cinquemano, you're going to be one of two things when you grow up. You're either going to be a lawyer or you're going to be a car salesman." And I started laughing. I'm like, so it don't leave me much of a choice. She goes, "You can talk," and she goes, "You just got in a bad situation." She's like, I'm going to let you off, but make sure you do something with your life.
Can we ask, what did you do? How'd you get in trouble?
So out of all the stuff that I did as a teenager that I probably should have been arrested for, I got arrested for something that wasn't even my fault. It's the craziest thing. Now, granted, I was in the car. I was there. But the blame got put on me, and the people that were with me didn't take responsibility for their weed. And it was in the car. It wasn't my car. I was a passenger in a minivan. and I got blamed by the driver for it being mine, and I got arrested for it. I was the only one out of 8 people that got arrested for it.
So they pulled you guys over, they search the car, they find weed, they say it's your weed, you get arrested, everybody else goes home?
Yeah, everybody else goes home. Here's the best part. It was for my girlfriend at the time for her winter formal. We were at a playground after the dance, and the people that the weed belonged to were staying at my house. So it was my girlfriend at the time, a friend of mine, her boyfriend, and 2 other couples. And the guy that was with my friend, it was his stuff, but he never owned up to it. And
so you probably didn't stay friends with him after that, did you?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I mean, I grew up not in a bad neighborhood by any means, but got into some bad ways and stuff like that. And I don't rat on people. That was something that was brought up with us, that you don't rat. You take your charge and you go.
Yeah.
Luckily, it wasn't anything serious, and it didn't taint my record or any of that stuff. But yeah, it wasn't great having them go to my house and telling my mom that I had been arrested for drug charges. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the crazy thing is, now today it's not even a big deal anymore.
Yeah, that's the craziest part. Like, and it was literally 2.5 grams of weed, and now they would just look at you and be like, "All right, yeah, go ahead." Like,
yeah, see you later, dude.
Not even give you a ticket for it. But
yeah,
you know, we're talking almost 25 years later, 30 years later, and it's crazy stuff. It really, I was 16 at the time, right at 17, something like that, or 15, going on 16, in 2 years of probation. I got off right before my 18th birthday is when I got off probation, or 17th birthday, something like that.
There you go.
Crazy stuff, man. But yeah, it was pretty intense, to say the least.
So let's switch gears here. Let's talk a little bit more about Harley-Davidson.
Yeah.
Specifically. And I'm gonna lay out some statistics here for everybody who's listening in. But motorcycles, in 2024, the global motorcycle market was valued at approximately 125 billion, and it's expected to grow to about 160 billion worldwide. Okay, the U.S. motorcycle market generates about close to 9 billion in annual revenue, with cruiser bikes like Harley-Davidson being amongst the most popular categories. However, I've heard and we've seen, Harley-Davidson has been a brand that's gone through its trials and tribulations over the last few years. How is it? What's it like being a Harley-Davidson dealership today? I mean, just the other day, I saw an article about a Harley store that shut its doors. So is it struggling as a brand, or what do you see as going on in the industry here?
I'm seeing pretty much what everybody's seeing. There's dealerships closing left and right.
Yeah. Has that got you worried at all?
No, not for my sake. Not for our dealership's sake. What I'm seeing, with the old CEO, he was all about the manufacturer. He didn't care about the dealerships. Like, he just, and he's not there anymore, right? So they brought in a new guy, Artie, that was the CEO of Topgolf. So okay. I've heard nothing but great things about him over the last couple of weeks. So he's making it more about the dealerships. But yeah, I mean, we see, areas and markets that are down nationwide, and it's a lot of
everything's kind of down right now.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
In every 8 to 10 years, there's a market reset across the board for everything. Whether it's the housing market, whether it's the stock market, everything resets every roughly about 8 years on average. And generally, it's kind of when there's a regime change in the White House, right? So everybody's unsure of markets. Everything is going down. I mean, there's been so much um, with interest rates being high, and let's be honest, man, there's nothing that's cheap and reasonable nowadays. I mean, you're looking at in the Harley world, some motorcycles that used to cost 20,000 are now 30,000. I think they said the average cost on a vehicle now is closer to 50,000, if I heard that correctly.
I think it's about 40,000
right now. Like, I mean, think about that. That's insane. I remember when I was in the car business, I could sell a brand new car for $8,000. Now it's an entry level car, but now I think the entry level Corolla or Nissan or Toyota is 20 something $1,000. Yeah. $19,000, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, we see quite a few stores that have closed, which are generally the mom and pop shops, which kind of it sucks. You know what I'm saying? Seeing that.
Yeah, I hate that the mom and pop shops close, but it's the nature of capitalism.
Correct.
Nature
of the business, man. I mean, it's
nature of business. Yeah. I mean, the strong will survive, and if they don't have, sons or daughters to take over, then they close up shops or they get bought out by, Big Bad Ride Now and
yeah. Ride Now buying up everything, man. Besides, they got a few major players that are out there. I mean, I can't talk for all of them. One of our stores. We just sold one of our 8 stores. We have 7 left. But I mean, it was in a market that wasn't spectacular. You know what I'm saying? They had it for a few years, and the powersports dealership was trying to buy it for the last couple of years. And the way the market is right now, I would tell the owners, y'all made the right decision. I would have sold it a long time ago. And focus on the stores that are in the prime markets. I think a lot of the dealerships that are closing are getting very good offers to be bought out, and they've been in business for 20 years, 30 years. I don't want to be in the business at that point in my life. I'm going to take my payout and take my millions and relax. Retire, enjoy family. I think that's a lot to do with it. And then some of them, they're just not producing the numbers, and they can't sustain keeping their doors open, which I've had one of, from my previous group, one of our stores, the same thing. You're from here. I'm sure you've heard of Homa. We had a store in Homa at one point, and when that oil spill happened in the Gulf, that killed that market, and it never recovered. So eventually, they sold the dealership to another place, and they thought they were going to revive it and get it all back up and running, and they just recently sold it a few years ago and shut the doors completely. Yeah. So there's nobody even there. They didn't even reopen that point. So it's kind of, I get it, man. It's a scary thing seeing dealership after dealership closing, because it does leave a little bit of uncertainty in the market for some people. But know that there's still established dealers and prominent dealers that aren't going anywhere. And the dealerships that did close are being bought out by somebody else.
Okay. Well, how about Harley-Davidson as a whole, though? I mean, who is the avatar? Who's the ideal buyer of a Harley-Davidson?
Who's the ideal buyer that we want?
Who buys them? How about that? When you think of the Harley-Davidson buyer, I think of my parents. I think of,
it's your 35 to 65 now, 60.
Yeah.
What I think everybody wants to see in the industry is keeping that same genre, but going down in age. Like, we want to see the younger riders come out. We are, I think Harley-Davidson has that stigma of it's for old people, right?
Well, there's also this stigma around Harley-Davidson. My parents both had, my mom had a Softail, my dad had a Road King.
Right.
And HD stands for Harley-Davidson, but also stands for $100. That's what we used to say.
You're right.
Every time you walk in, you're not spending less than $100. And so it's
You're
expensive.
absolutely right. They do. They can be expensive, man. But I mean, if you look at it, so can everything else,
Yeah.
right? So I've had sport bikes. I'm an avid hunter. I have a Honda Pioneer side by side. My son has a Polaris 800 four wheeler, and yeah, parts are cheap for those bikes, right? If you get aftermarket parts, right?
Yeah.
You get. I'm a cheap sucker, man, when it comes to doing anything. But and I buy Amazon stuff all the time, right? But
Yeah.
looking at dealership prices, like they have a dealership that's close by that says, "Hey, come get your hunting package, your side by side or four wheeler service," and I can tell you, it's no cheaper than a Harley. It's no cheaper than a Harley to get it done at a dealership. Um, I'm not sure how that industry works as far as their mechanics and stuff like that. Harley has actual where you send them your techs to get certified. They have stuff that they can do to get certified, and they have to go to class to become a master tech. They have to go to class to become a next level tech or level 2 or something or level 3 or an expert mechanic. They're not just here's your patch. You have to actually go to class. You actually have to pass to be awarded that title. So yeah, some of the places are crazy expensive to get stuff done, but at the same time, some of them are very reasonable price. Some of them are on the cheaper side. You just have to find the one that's going to fit your budget, essentially.
So are you guys doing anything? Is Harley as a brand doing anything to attract younger buyers? In your opinion?
Not really, in my opinion. I hate to say it that way. I mean, if they are, they're trying. Let's put it that way. They're trying. It's not working.
Okay.
They're trying to do whatever they can, but it's not working. So hopefully within the next year, there's going to be an entry level bike that comes out for Harley, because that's where I think we're missing the boat.
Yeah.
They don't have a price point bike anymore. So we had the Sportsters up until 2022, but even when it got to that point, they were, still $12,000, $13,000. So, and when I first started with Harley, you could buy that same bike for $7,000.
Yeah.
So it jumped up drastically over the years, and I think it put a lot of people out of the market, because the people that could afford those bikes or that wanted those bikes can't afford the new bikes. They can't afford them anymore, so they're looking for used bikes.
Yeah, used market's got to be doing pretty good right now. Yeah.
Yeah, the cheaper end, less expensive, I should say. They're bringing in the people in, and that's something that I've had conversations with our reps and stuff like that, and our people from Harley, and they're like, well, you need to sell new bikes. I'm like, yeah, I get it. The people can't afford new bikes. The touring bikes that used to be able to buy for $500 to $600 are now $700 to $800.
Yeah.
So we're losing out on those people, or they're buying pre-owned to where they can get the payment that they're used to and not have to put themselves into a huge thing of debt. But it's trying to get the cheaper end, or the buying bikes right now on the cheaper side, or it's very hard to do, that are quality bikes. Yeah. I don't want to put a bike out that I'm buying for a customer, right? If I'm buying bikes, I'm not buying junk. So trying to find those bikes, you have to pay for them. So you even see the used bike market kind of creeping up in price, even going into the wintertime, which is weird. Even though we don't really have a winter here, but
yeah. But I would think, in the South where you guys are at, Mississippi, the wintertime is probably the busy season, I would think.
No, so our season really is from about mid-February to it hits that first 100-degree day, and then it slacks off, and then it starts picking up around September, and then goes through October, mid-November, and then December, January is kind of the slower times, mainly because of Christmas, the year change, stuff like that. But I mean, it does get a little cold here. We actually got snow for the first time ever last year, so that was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, I was there for that. Oh man, that was wild, dude.
Yeah, it was. I was locked on the West Bank for a week. I couldn't get off the West Bank.
Yeah, I was. Oh yeah, so you were in the West Bank. Oh yeah, the bridge was closed down. So
Yeah.
I was staying right downtown. I had a condo right downtown by the
Okay.
Superdome, right off Julia Street.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we had a foot of snow in our condo building, like on the patio. Like I measured it with a ruler. it was a foot.
It was nuts, man. It's funny. It's the first time I've ever seen real snow.
Yeah, that was real snow, dude.
Like it was, I've seen what we call snow here, and turns to ice as soon as it hits the ground. But yeah, I mean, first time seeing real snow. I'm not a cold weather person. I don't like it.
Nope.
I've passed on numerous jobs up north because I don't want to deal with snow. I don't want to deal with that. I don't like cold. And my wife messes with me all the time. She's like, "You hate being in the cold, but you'll go sit in a deer stand when it's 30 degrees." I said, "Yeah, absolutely. That's different. I'm enjoying that."
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go outside and work and do all that other stuff in it.
Yeah, you're just chilling in the deer stand, man.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what is a GM of a Harley dealership? What do you do? What do you actually have to do?
Everything, man. Everything. You're general manager. You're watching over everybody. You're a sales manager. You're a detail guy. You're a counselor. It's you're across the board, man. Everything. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is when you become a general manager, because I didn't realize it, you're everything in the dealership. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not just sitting in an office.
Yeah, your mom and dad.
Yeah, it's your mom, your dad, you're the uncles, the brothers, the aunts, cousins. You're everything.
Yeah.
And if you have a good team built around you, it lessens a little bit of it, but you're still doing everything.
So what's your favorite department?
Sales.
Sales, okay.
Sales is my favorite, man. It's what I came up in. So
okay. It's what you know.
That's what I know, and it's I know a little bit about service, just enough to screw something up.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about parts, learning more and more stuff as it goes, but sales is where my heart is. Sales is where my passion is. And I'm involved on that aspect probably, I'd say 70% out of my day is in the sales department. 10% into service, 15% into service, probably 5 or 10% into parts and motor clothes, and then the other little percentage that I have left for stuff like this, meetings, or first time ever doing a podcast, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that, or just trying to take a break from everything, and I'm like, all right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, just mental clock out.
Yeah. I mean, I literally stand, like I eat lunch standing up. I don't ever sit down. This will be the most I've sat down probably all week.
Today's session is sponsored by this podcast where he gets to sit for an hour.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my chair I keep my backpack on my chair. I don't even sit in it. So like it's definitely pretty it's different, man. Like as a sales manager, you can do different things and only focus on one thing. Being a general manager, you have to focus on everything at all times, essentially. Yeah. And being pulled in 15 different directions can get frustrating. It's the guy that kind of got me into this business always told me, he said, "You sure you want to be a GM?" He goes, "It ain't all that it's cracked up to be."
You're like, I want to make the money. Well,
and I tell everybody, I'm like, man, I got, it's not necessarily even the money at this point. It's the experience that I want to have. And, because like I've told my owners, I can go somewhere else and make more money.
Yeah.
I took over this dealership when it was in a downturn, and the culture was completely shot. And then rebuilding a culture that had 30 years of being tarnished, right? So my thing in my mind, and this is something that my mentor in the business had taught me, or we talked about before I took this position. He's like, dude, think about it like this. He's like, if you turn that dealership around culturally and financially, he goes, dude, you'll have job offers and a resume that nobody can compete with. He goes, and if you just turn it around culturally, but you don't change the finance part of it, he goes, you're going to make a name for yourself in the business. He goes, and if you do absolutely nothing, he goes, and it stays flat, he goes, you don't lose anything.
Yeah.
It's already established that that's the dealership it is. And I'm like, I said, taking that leap to be able to do that earlier than our game plan that we had set up was scary. I knew kind of what I was walking into. I didn't realize how bad it was, essentially.
Yeah.
But we've made strides, man, over the last couple of years, and it's been nothing but awesome and exhilarating to see and hear, not just from locals, but from people that haven't stepped in the dealership in 10 years, because they didn't want to deal with the crap.
The previous administration, we'll call it.
Yeah. Even so much so that I've had general managers and partners from out of state, Ohio, Colorado, reach out to me, and they're like, dude, like people that I've worked with before, right? They're like, I don't know how they know, but people up here have talked about you and what you're doing at Hurricane. And I'm like, yeah, that's freaking awesome, because I look at it, and like, even when you reached out to me, man, I'm kind of like, I told my wife, I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on with this guy. I'm like, but he wants me to do a podcast, and she's like, well, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how he even found out who I was. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's kind of, I guess she tells me I don't give myself enough credit, and I don't feel like I deserve credit at times,
Well, it sounds like you do. Sounds like you definitely have earned your way. Your story, that you shared with me of how long you've been doing this and where you're at today and where you're going in the near future. I think you have, I think everything that we do pays dividends into the future, but you don't know when those checks are going to cash. You know what I mean? And I think maybe some of your checks are starting to cash.
That'd be awesome. better late than never. That's for sure, man. That's for sure.
Yeah.
My wife, like I said, we want to eventually get to Florida and stuff like that. And, I not too long ago got offered a job in Florida. And it was mine if I wanted it. It was taking a step back, which I would have been fine with, because sometimes you got to do that. You got to take a step back sometimes and be like, look, might not have the title, but the money situation's better. The opportunity is better. And I told her about it, and she's like, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, what do you mean what I'm going to do? I said, we can't go anywhere for 3 years. She's like, oh, I didn't think it was, I didn't know if it was something that you had to take, and, you were just going to leave me and the kids here and, come back and visit like you did at when you had your previous stuff. And I said, yeah, that's going to happen. Right. I'm going to leave you and the kids. Right. He's like, I said, before when I did it, I was single. I could do that. I'm like, I had my kids, but, my youngest son came to live with me during the summers, and then I would just come back every 30 days. So I would work 7 days a week for 30 days straight, and then I would leave and come home for 5 days. And then I would leave. Oh, wow. I did that for 2 years, man.
You're insane, dude. Insane.
But I look at it like this, man. It gave me a lot of experience on how to run a dealership. It gave me a lot of experience on managing multiple stores. I managed 8 dealerships at one point.
Oh, wow.
So I was running their finance departments from Florida. And my mentor is the one that actually brought me in doing that in the business. And I give him all the props in the world, because realistically, without him, I would have never been in Harley, ever. I would have never learned the administrative side of things, because I worked side by side with him. I was the finance director, he was the COO, and I give him all the accolades for teaching me what I know as far as being a GM, as far as being able to have that family work balance. You know what I'm saying? Because even when I was in the business and I had a family, I was at work. And as I came to Harley, and when me and him started working, we worked for sister stores. So he worked at our Homa store, I worked at our Slidell store. Well, he left the group, and then eventually I left the group in 2019, and he reached out to me asking me what it would take for me to get out of Louisiana. And I'm like, absolutely nothing, dude. Like, I'm not freaking leaving Louisiana. He goes, not even for a GM position. I'm like, well, maybe that, I said, or a finance position, for the group, and something that I have the freedom to come and go as I please. And he's like, all right, I'll call you in a week. And I'm like, all right. And he brought me in and, opened a lot of doors for me. And over the last, now we're in 2025, man. It's been 5 years since I took that leap of faith and put all my trust into him, that I wasn't going to regret it and wasn't going to stop and just be like, what am I doing? And not one time did I ever feel that way over 5 years. And it was awesome, man. And I really enjoyed the knowledge. I really enjoyed being able to see different parts of the country, and learning everything that I possibly could learn from him. And I still call him, and I'm like, hey, dude, what do you think about this? And he's one of my competitors. So he's 45 minutes away on one side and an hour and a half away on the other side. So he's one of my direct competitors, and we still bounce ideas off of each other. He calls me if he's got a question about something, and I'm like, look, I would do it this way. And, he's like, all right, cool. And he does it. And I do the same thing. Like, what do you think about this? He's like, I wouldn't do that. He's like, you need to try and figure out a way to kind of tweak it this kind of way. And we look at it, and I bounce it off of my people, and are like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it that way. And I'm like, all right, great. Because, I mean, dude, if anybody tells you that they know everything about this business, run.
They're lying,
Run. If they tell you they know everything that they need to know, run. Get away from them as fast as you can.
Well, you meet guys like that with ego, and that's one thing I hate about car business. This business, every single industry, is some dudes that just got this chip on their shoulder. I know everything, and you know nothing, man. Right. Nothing you can say to change my mind. I'm like, okay. It's like, that's why you're not the number one store in the state, because you know everything.
That's the biggest thing, man. If somebody tells you that they don't need to learn anything else, their ego is filling that, and it's not going to be a good turnout for you. If it is, if they're there, they're not going to be there long. Yeah. So,
well, you brought up something while you were talking that I didn't realize. So, this is kind of get part of the show where I do some rapid fire questions here and just kind of ask you about stuff that pertains to what I do. I'm always asking people, learning about different things. I know that you used to run an F&I department, which you still basically run an F&I department in a way today. Yeah. So in a Harley store, are the profits still being made on the front end, or is the back end picking things up?
It's both, really. If you have a solid F&I manager, you're golden.
Let me ask you this question. Let me rephrase it. Like, of your total annual profit, how much for the dealership? What percentage of the total annual profit do you think should come from the finance department in a Harley store? If you had to put a number on it.
I'd say probably 25%, 25 to 30%.
And would 30% be the max you're ever going to get, or is that like a benchmark or average?
No, I would say, 30% is probably, in my opinion, a solid number. If you have somebody that's running 30% of your profit,
yeah,
they're running 25 to 3,000 a copy.
Yeah, so they're killing it. Yeah.
They're killing it, and they have those people out there. I know a few guys and girls out there that are running 3,000 a copy month in and month out.
Well, so you said when you got to this store, it wasn't doing very well. Culture was bad, financially not very good. Was the finance department one of the things that needed attention?
So, luckily, my finance manager is phenomenal.
Okay. So same guy. He's been doing a good job since you got on board.
Same guy. He's very. When I first came in, I think he had been in finance for maybe a year or two, and didn't. He got a little bit of training, but basically thrown in there and been like, "Hey, do finance, right?
Figure it out." Yeah.
Figure it out. So, and he has done remarkable since then. And he's only gotten better over the last couple of years. I want to say he's the top, either number one or number two F&I manager in our group.
Oh, wow.
Month in and month out. So he does great. Paperwork's always tight. Never any issues with funding, stuff like that can't be quick fixed. There's never anybody that's coming in saying that, oh, he payment packed me, or he didn't tell me about this, or he didn't tell me about that. So, which is one of the things that I think that an F&I manager has to be. They have to be exceptional with their paperwork. That's what got me into F&I, because my paperwork was always on point. So they gave me the opportunity in the car business to be a special finance manager.
Yeah.
And grew from there. But with him, never have to worry about that. I never have to worry about him lying to a customer. He's dependable. He's trustworthy. He's an awesome all-around guy. And realistically, he can probably get a job somewhere else in a heartbeat and make more money. But he loves Harley. He loves being here, and he loves the culture that we're building. And me and him are the original, for the last 2 years, the original managers in the store, and our motor clothes manager, she's awesome too. But yeah, for the F&I department, that's really the standard, in my opinion. 25 to 30% is what they should be generating income wise.
Being a Harley-Davidson dealership, because it's not, to be honest, I was really excited to talk to you because I don't think I've talked to a Harley-Davidson dealership.
Okay. I'm glad to be your first, man.
Yeah, I've talked to them. Like, there's a couple I've talked to, but they're not very common. There's, like you said, they're 50 miles apart. There might be one in your city.
Right.
So what products are important in the finance department to have a successful, Harley-Davidson finance department? Service contract being number one.
Yeah, service contract being number one. The prepaid maintenance is a big thing, man.
Yeah.
Realistically, like, my top products is your ESP, your extended service plan, which is your warranty. Only manufacturer can call it that. A lot of people are like, well, I don't want a service plan. It's like, it's not a service plan. To retain customers at your dealership, you got to have a good service plan, extended warranty plan. You have to have a good maintenance plan, right? Gap, to me, is a no-brainer if you're not putting money down, or a large sum of money down. And then tire and wheel. Those are all products that are going to bring people back to your dealership. That's your focus. You have other
those are the core.
Yeah, the core. You have, your appearance protection packages. You have your battery for life. In some instances, you have a wear and care package which I really like as far as the wear care, but there's only certain vendors that'll actually sell that because it's really, for them, that's a money loss for them, essentially. Yeah. So, I mean, there's different little things, but yeah, I mean, those four are going to be your core package as far as what everybody should definitely get, in my opinion, not for the dealership's sake, but for a consumer's sake. If you want to save some money, that's the way to do it.
Well, yeah, I think those are everybody's favorite products. Kind of even automotive too. Those are the core products.
Yeah.
And I was just curious if it's any different for you guys being a Harley store. What's your guys' or not your guys? What is your feeling or perception on preload products? Do you guys do that at your store? Is it something that's necessary?
Preload? No.
Yeah. No so preload.
It's I've worked with guys who payment back.
Okay.
And it's something that I've never done. I've never payment backed.
Well, I guess maybe. Yeah. So let me rephrase that. Like, do you guys put any parts or accessories on every bike? Any sort of product like that. When I'm talking preloads, I'm talking, are you preloading paint and fabric? Are you preloading, a battery program? Or do you guys do any sort of those types of things in a Harley store?
So we have a theft protection that we put on all of our bikes.
Okay.
And basically it's a pretty cool product. Hopefully you never need it. It's one of those products. But if you do, it's great. And I've known quite a few people to need it. It's basically if your bike gets stolen, total loss or not recovered, you get $5,000 towards one bike. It helps lower your insurance premium, stuff like that. We do it for that aspect of it. The owners have it on all of our bikes. It's blanketed across every bike in inventory. As far as anything else, we don't preload anything, and we disclose it up front saying, hey, this is what's there. It's not hidden or anything like that. And then every now and again, we'll put like parts and stuff on bikes, but outside of that, no products that's all preloaded onto the motorcycle or into the payments. So when we're penciling deals, this is what it is for the bike. This includes your taxes, your title, all of your fees and stuff like that, your prep, your freight, your theft, titling and stuff like that, all your state nonsense. This is everything in a nutshell. Here you go. And this is where you're at. We're transparent. We don't want to hide anything or come across as being
sleazy used car salesman.
Being sleazy, being a used car salesman, So it's
that's offensive to used car salesman. We should
right. Yeah, got to be politically correct on that one. You can't say
that. Just a degenerate, keeping you guys from being a degenerate.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. It's if somebody does, they're like, this is a thing. We work with everybody, man, to try and make them as happy as we possibly can. So, and I mean, if it's explained and it's not hidden, you don't have any issues.
Well, you explain it, you don't hide it, and you build value in whatever it is you're offering.
Right.
And if people like it, they won't have a problem. As simple as that. Guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're going to wrap this show up. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two from Mr. Cinquemano here about running a Harley store. And more importantly, if you guys are in the market for a Harley, to be honest with you, I'd probably go check out his store and see what he's got to offer. He seems like he runs a tight crew, and he seems like a stand-up guy. So if you guys are looking for a motorcycle, Harley-Davidson is the way to go. Check out Hurricane Harley-Davidson and hit up our friend Trey Cinquemano. Trey, thank you so much for hopping on the show here. Guys, we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate you.